Hi, everybody, and welcome to our Beyond the Gates weekly recap for the 14th week of Beyond the Gates, the best soap opera on television. We were normally on at 3 o'clock on Fridays, right after the show goes off on the East Coast. But this week, I am the scorekeeper for our high school baseball team in Wickliffe, Ohio. Our Wickliffe Blue Devils. We yesterday were in the district final against the Waynedale Golden Bears, and that's why I wasn't on yesterday. We had we had a great season, and we ended up falling to the Golden Bears yesterday, 13-0 in the district final. They're a very good team. They were the better team yesterday. But I wanted to give a shout out to the guys on the team. It was a pleasure being around them this year. And that's why we did not do the show yesterday at 3 o'clock like we normally do on Fridays. I will forever be grateful for being part of that program and being the scorekeeper for the Wickliffe Blue Devils. But now we're going to get on to the Beyond the Gates. We unfortunately only had a 4-day week this week. Because there was no show on Monday. Of course, I did not realize there was no show on Monday. And I was all excited. I'm here, I'm watching it, and we're probably 15 minutes into the show. And I see there's a scene with Ted Richardson, and I'm watching it, and they're talking about the fashion show, and I'm watching it, and I'm like, oh, they're having another fashion show. That's interesting. Another fashion show already. And they're talking about that it's going to be the last fashion show that that Danny and her daughter do together, Naomi. And I'm like, wow, this is, I thought they had done the last fashion show already. And then they go to a scene where Ted and Nicole are talking, and it's the original Ted, Maurice Johnson. And I'm like, what's going on here? Did he come back? And then it hits me. It's a repeat episode. Yeah. I'm like, I felt really stupid. I'm like, oh my gosh. This is an episode from I don't know, maybe April it was, maybe even March. But, then I realized, they're off for Memorial Day. We'll just get 4 days this week. Well, we got 4 days. We got 4 days of crazy Leslie. Leslie/Dana/ whatever she goes by. But she just gets crazier by the day. And I have to give Trisha Mann Grant credit. She is great in the role of Dana/Leslie/ whatever other name she's going by. She plays a nut really well. And it's really getting to that point where it's going to be the point of no return with her. Thing about it, she might have got lucky here. I thought, this is great. Eva's going to take the box She did. She took the box. She didn't break back into the apartment that she used to share with her mom, but she had another key, even though Leslie told her, give me the key back. She had another one. And she went in and she got the box with the motorcycle helmet and the gloves. And I'm not sure what she's going to do with those, but in one of the previews, they show that, they show up, the police show up at the house with a warrant to Jacob, and some other officers show up with a warrant at Dana/Leslie's house, a search warrant. Well, that's a problem because Ava took the box out, or the bag with the helmet and the gloves out. So it's not going to be there. So that might save her. That might help her. But it's not going to help her. Eventually, she's going to get found out. She will. Problem is, what if they go to Ava's house, wherever Ava's staying, the hotel, and they find it there? Then they're gonna think it's Ava. But Ava did have the alibi of the casino, but that works in soaps. They'll come up with a reason. Problem is Leslie is really evil. She's really evil. The way she treats her daughter, she's deranged. There's no doubt about it. She is deranged. She's obsessed with Ted. And look, did Ted do her wrong all those years ago? Yeah, he did. But she's taken it to a new level here. And this is soap opera. That's what happens on soap operas. But Leslie is one step closer to, I feel like, either getting murdered, ending up in a mental hospital, which of course she'll escape from, or going to prison, which she'll probably escape from. Because I don't think when everything in this storyline is resolved, we will see the last of Dana/Leslie. I think she's going to be on here for a long time. And even if the character were to get murdered, I feel like Trisha Mann Grant will be on here a while. Unless, obviously, if she deserves to leave, requests to leave the show. But she's great in this role. She's a great actress. But then we had the other thing, one of the other things going on. Before we get to Haley and her pregnancy, I'm going to reiterate what I said last week, and I've said a couple other weeks. The Jen and Derek storyline is boring. And I'll say it again. If they got rid of Jen and Derek, I'd be fine if they wrote them out of the show, because they're boring. So we'll get that out of the way right there. But is Haley really pregnant? I think the storyline is going to be that she is, but there's going to be problems here because in the preview it did show it looked like Bill was collapsed on the couch, and she says call the police, call 911. So I think whatever that is with Bill's hand, where he keeps shaking his hand, numbness, I suppose. I think we're finally going to be clear on that, more clear on that. But that'll be interesting to find out what that is. It also might make Bill think boy, should I be having a child at this point? And so that's going to be interesting to see what happens there. The thing is you think, okay, did they think of this when they had the hand thing? Did the writers for the right? A soap opera Bible is like what is created before the show even comes on. And it basically maps out storylines for probably a couple of years. So they knew all of this that was going to happen. It's all planned. And the only thing that would change is like if they fired the head writers, then that Bible would change. But I think that just because we didn't find out within a week or two why Bill was getting numbness in his hand doesn't mean that this wasn't all part of the storyline plan, which I think it was. But then we have the Articulettes reunion. Another Articulate showed up yesterday. I believe it's Janet. Sorry if I got that wrong. And yeah, she's bitter. And I'm anxious to find out what Anita did to these two. She left them high and dry, obviously. Once she quit the group, I think the Articulates probably didn't have any success, and that was it. Sounds like Janet is not, she's living back in Chicago and not doing the greatest. So we're going to find out what's going on with that soon. I think they'll eventually have a reunion. And I think it'll be pretty cool to see Anita perform with her former group that she grew up with, these girls, and met before, was friends with them long before she met Vernon. They were from two different worlds. Vernon grew up, wealthy and privileged in Fairmount Crest. His dad formed Fairmount Crest. So, but I think that that Articulate storyline is going to be pretty good because we're going to find out that Anita's not perfect, and she changed. She probably did them dirty. But I like the character of Anita. I like, and I like when soap operas have storylines for the older generation. Because look, the older generation just doesn't wither away once they hit like 55 or 60. They don't just sit around and do nothing. A lot of people actually, their lives are almost more active. But I'm anxious to see how the Anita and the Articulate storyline goes. It should be pretty interesting. I think that this show, one of the things that makes this show great is that they have storylines that are appealing to multi-demographics. Looks like they're trying to develop the teen storyline right now with Martin and Smitty's kids. It's going a little slow, but that'll come along. But I think they're appealing to a lot of different demographics right now with their storylines. And I'm also interested to see what the storyline with June, how that develops. The homeless, they call it something different. The homeless storyline. Well, let's see how that develops too. I think it's I like that one. I think that's going to be a good one. What we're seeing is, and I really like is that the kids that grew up rich on this show, aside from Kat, they care about other people. And Naomi and Jacob helping her is really, I really like that. I really like that storyline. And hopefully, they don't just brush it aside. I hope it continues. And we find out what June's story really is. Because obviously she's not being honest. But they want to help her. So I think it's going to be good. I think it should be a good storyline. Nothing's going to be quick with that storyline, I don't think. But it does. This show does move quicker. Let's be honest. This show does move quicker than The Bold and the Beautiful and Young and the Restless. I'll admit I started watching The Bold and the Beautiful since it's on right before Gates. But I really I like the speed all the storylines do go on Beyond the Gates. That's one of the things that is very attractive to this show, that we're not going to stand and talk about the same thing for 3 days. But our soap operas usually do move a little faster than half hour, but Young and the Restless moves at a snail pace. I've tried to watch that over the years. It moves at a snail's pace. But Beyond the Gates does not move at a snail's pace, and they do a great job. And I love that, it's all kinds of different people working on this show that have worked on so many different soap operas, primetime, daytime. The NAACP is involved in it, is one of the production companies. Tyler Perry Studios is where it is filmed. Procter and Gamble has their hand in it. And Procter and Gamble, I mean, how many soaps did they produce over the years? So that's what makes this soap special. That's what I feel like this soap will have longevity, because it's really done well, and with a lot of thought that goes into all of this on Beyond the Gates. I think, like I said last week, and I truly believe this, that Beyond the Gates is going to pave the way for many new daytime soap operas. I really believe it. I hope ABC, NBC, and Fox are watching what's happening on CBS from 2 o'clock to 3 o'clock weekdays, because I think this is going to be a new revolution, and daytime soaps are going to come back. As of right now, there's only 5. 3 of them are on CBS. What's the number one network in daytime? Oh, it's CBS. So they have 3 soaps. The other 3 networks have 2 soaps combined. Might want to jump on that soap bandwagon, because Beyond the Gates is definitely a soap to watch. And Danny and Bill, the Danny and Bill storyline, I wasn't too thrilled with how Danny handled finding out Haley was pregnant. It was kind of awkward, I thought. I guess going over there and confronting her, but saying she was lying. She's got Bill already. Haley's got Bill. She's married to him already. There's no reason to lie. You know what I mean? And I think Danny, that wasn't Danny's finest moment, I don't think. So, but it'll be interesting to see what happens with Danny and or Danny, Haley, and Bill, especially if Bill is sick. I feel like something could happen between Danny and Bill if he's sick. I could be way off on this, but I think something could happen where it could cause a rift between Bill and Haley. But we'll see. I think what also is interesting is, we were left assuming, I believe it was on Thursday, with Vanessa and Joey at the casino in the poker room. So what's going to happen now is that her and Joey hooked up. I mean, Doug knows that she cheats on him. It's like an open marriage, I guess. But Joey and him, man, it's bad. And Joey's basically just really using Vanessa. He's he's an evil guy. And I have to admit, I've never been a huge John Lindstrom fan, but I got to say, this guy's a pretty good actor because he makes you really hate Joey. So it's going to be interesting what happens with that. I think I can't really give you an answer what is going to happen with that. It's not, I don't think it's a front burner storyline. It's kind of a secondary thing. Because obviously the Duprees are the front burner and the main stories on the show. But I was really hoping that Tomas would say goodbye to Kat, after she was a jerk to him. Kat's a jerk to everybody, though. She really is a jerk to everybody. She said she wanted to prove yesterday she wasn't just a spoiled brat. No, Kat is a spoiled rich brat. She really is. Of the Dupree grandchildren, Kat is the least likable of all of them. So, for her to say she wants to prove she isn't well, you are a spoiled brat. So how about you just, admit that you're a spoiled brat. And I really thought that I thought Tomas and Ava were going to hook up. I really did. And they still might. But, and I feel almost like it could happen before he being that Kat is a virgin. It will be interesting to see. I feel like he'll end up with doing something with Ava before he does something with Kat. And then Kat will find out and there'll be all a disaster, but I wouldn't be surprised. But Kat could be in trouble if or Ava could be in trouble if she's caught with the bag, with the helmet and the gloves, even though she has an alibi at the casino. So I think what she thought she was doing was good, but it might end up being bad because I think she wants her mother to get caught. I really do at this point because, Leslie Dana, she's been pretty crappy. She's been pretty crappy to Eva. And all Eva wanted to do was get close to her dad. She realized how much she liked Nicole and Ted. And, she just didn't want to go through with the plan. And now Leslie holds it against her. But when you're crazy like Leslie is, I guess you do hold everything against somebody if it's not exactly what you want. And she's a nut. I mean, this character is written to be a nut. I think they're doing a great job with it. And I think I would say this storyline's probably going to go through the summer. We may have some closure to this storyline. I'm going to predict middle to the end of August, early September, to when this storyline finally hits its peak and either Leslie is murdered, sent to prison, or a mental hospital. It's going to be one of those. Those are the only three options with this character. There's no way that they could just end this storyline and Leslie just lives in Fairmount Crest. I think she's, and they really can't give us. They have to give us an ending. They got to give us something. They can't just, she left town. No. She's committed criminal acts. So there's going to be a climax to this storyline. And I think Who Murdered Leslie would be a great storyline. And then you bring her twin on. So, Tricia Mann Grant doesn't lose her job for doing a great job in the role. But that's pretty much it for this week. I think next week, like I said, Bill looks like he's going to have that heart attack or something that the numbness seems to be causing. And then we'll get to see more of Leslie being a nut. And Danny planning her modeling agency. Kat and Chelsea getting the their clothing line going, the purses, and then the Articulette storyline. That'll be interesting next week when the three of them meet at Anita and Vernon's house. So, but until next Friday, watch Beyond the Gates. Enjoy Beyond the Gates, the best show on soap opera on television. And, if you have questions or if you have idea you think they might do and you want to submit it, you got my Twitter. My Twitter account is right here at TBBucksTim. I have an email address. It's T Shirer, SHIRER, at Lake County Sentinel.com. And you see Lake County Sentinel there, spelled the same way. T Shirer, TSHIRER, at Lake County Sentinel.com. You could email me a question or something you think might happen with Beyond the Gates. Or even if you watch soap operas for decades and you want me to talk a little bit about an older soap that maybe this reminds me of. Like last time I said the Ava story or the Leslie storyline reminds me of Who Killed Zach Grayson on All My Children in the 1980s. And someone commented that was one of their favorite storylines. They're a big All My Children fan. Any emails or questions, I'd love it. I'd love to read them on here. And by the way, so that's it. Why don't we read that comment we got last week from, let's see, let's look at that again. Let's see where that was from. We are Beyond the Gates last week was, the question was from Demetrius the Android. From, it looks like, doesn't share where he's from. He's a script writer. And he said that, nice. Who Killed Zach Grayson on All My Children mentioned. My favorite, All My Children was my favorite soap opera. I loved All My Children too. That was my mom's favorite soap opera. And I used to watch soap operas with my mom growing up. So until next week, watch Beyond the Gates. Enjoy Beyond the Gates. And we'll talk about what happens next week. Have a good weekend, everybody.